Okay, live according to my little window there. It's a little bit hard to be sure all the time. Probably said this on numerous occasions that I'm not 100% sure when I go live, but I think I'm there now. Look, everyone's there waiting for me. Nice. Nice. I'll just pop out the old chat window so I can see everyone. So it's hello, Megalich and Catherine and Luke and Musical Aviator. Good to see you all. And hi, Patman Sport. Good to see you as well. Move all the little windows about, and I reckon I'm ready to go. And hi, Charlie. Good to see everyone. Look, I've forgotten to have my light behind me, so I'm back to looking horrible and pasty, and I might just live with that for tonight. I'm just back from physio. Hey, Music David, how's my weekend? My weekend was fine. You went to Sydney for a school reunion. I had a school thing, but not a reunion. It was young Mr. Angry's end of school valedictory dinner. That was a bit of a hoot. Hey, Agro Pixie, how you doing? So yes, that's how old I am. My youngest is finishing year 12 this year. So you prefer me horrible and pasty. Thanks, Batman. That really does work. I just think I look like I've got no flesh tone at all under this lighting. But I mean, what could I do? A more complete solution is probably more trouble than it's worth. And hello, Belinda. Nice to see you. So, Agro Pixie, your car transmission stuffed. Oh, but on the upside, you have two cats. Well, you know, swings and roundabouts. Car giving you grief, but you have cats. So, you know, that's a trade-off. That's a trade-off. I tell you what I might do is post the live stream on the Book Do Face. Just tell people to come and join the live stream. Yeah, because that might get a few extra people. Then again, it might not. Whenever I do this, it really just seems to be the same crowd, but can't hurt to just tell a few more people that we're doing the live stream and having our wild old live party that we do now. Join me for a live stream and put the link in. All right, that should work. We'll just do that and not worry too much about it. We'll get who we get. Oh, wait, there we are. Oh, cool. The thumbnail, I look asleep or stoned. That's what you like to see, really, isn't it? That's going to make people want to go. Or maybe I'm thinking in the thumbnail it's chosen, I look like I'm mid-sneeze. So I'll just put I'm not really stoned. I'll just put I'm live now. Yeah, so yeah, the joy of timelines is so funny. As someone who's been doing like the video thing for over 10 years, and I did way back when I was at college at radio. So all the people who say people don't know what their voice sounds like, or people actually don't know what they really look like because they don't see themselves properly. I'm well versed in what I look and sound like in the third person because the amount of video editing I've done over the years. Yeah. Hey, Philip, how are you doing? That is a blast for the past. Yes. Yes, Tara, we are the same vintage, and it's rude of people to ask. About how many little boys? Look, no. Last live stream, there were none. And some other ones, we get half a dozen more. Or I think it's often just one or two people with multiple accounts because they're real fucking sad fucks. Oh, don't talk about Doctor Who. It's too soon. I actually haven't watched it yet. So don't say anything. You've already said too much, Musical Aviator. So although what you say is pretty obvious, actually. Look at the Let's Kill Hitler episode. Or the emotional one that everyone loves, the Vincent van Gogh one. Yes, the doctor says in those circumstances, certain events are fixed in history, fixed point in history, and can't be changed, like Pompeii and all that shenanigans. So, yes. Are we talking about the... Well, then he's saying digital driver's license in Queensland where it's stored on a smartphone. It's dumb as shit. Absolutely dumb as shit. Because the technology that will power it will be flawed, will be subject to abuse and hacking, just because it's a government department and they're shit. So changing from physical ID to a digital one, besides disadvantaging people who don't want a mobile phone. And there are still people in the world who don't want smartphones, and it's discriminating against them. If I wanted to drive without a license, I'd keep a phone with no battery in my car. And when the cop said, "I want to see your digital license," I go, "Oh, I ran my battery down. Sorry, it's on the phone." So digital licenses stored as an app on the phone is dumb as shit. Yes, Catherine, the early time slot for Doctor Who is strange, but it is on iView whenever you want it, which is a plus. Yeah, I record it and say, Belinda, they said if your battery's dead, they'll fine you. I cannot believe that will hold up in court. I believe bureaucrats and cops would say shit like that. I just have trouble believing that that would hold up in court. That if they demanded you produce your digital license and you go, "Well, my phone battery's flat," and they reckon they could fine you for that, I have trouble believing that would hold up in court. Jesus, Belinda, Queensland's not a nanny state. It's a fucking fascist state. Has been since Bjorky Peterson. I know that feeling, Musical Aviator. Once your phone gets a bit old, you lose about 1% of battery power a minute sometimes. If you're using it for anything, yeah. Yeah, no, I can't see a single positive to this idea of a digital driver's license as an app on a phone. I can think of 50 reasons it's complete fucking shit, and I can't think of a single advantage over it. That would be good, Tara. Someone with inside knowledge on how it goes. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if people try and propose that, because look, I've done contract work for government departments, and they're all thick as shit. You raise another good point, Belinda. What if the network's down? I think, although what they're suggesting if it's an app on the phone, it doesn't need network connectivity. Like there's just a thing that will go boop and your digital license will be stored on the phone. I wouldn't think you'd need network connectivity for it. So I think battery would be the only issue. Catherine, there's nothing wrong with license cards. Like I said, the changing it to a digital license is a fucking terrible idea for just such a long list of reasons. It has no benefits whatsoever over a digital license. Anyone, like the bureaucrats and the cops will say that, oh, it's more secure and networked. No, it isn't. It isn't more secure. It's less secure. It's ridiculous. Okay, that's a nice turn of phrase, Rambling Johnny. Nothing's harder to kill than a bad idea. Okay, Tara, I get what you're saying. You're saying I don't want to take my purse with me, and if I'm stopped by the police, it's a fine. Why is a license card harder to carry than a phone? A phone is bigger and bulkier than a license phone. Sorry, a phone is bigger and bulkier than a license card. That may be an element of personal preference for you, but by definition, it's not easier. Hey, Tendai, how's it going? Oh yes, Musical Aviator, remembering the various Christian groups who they've had conspiracies about mind control and Mark of the Beast ever since bank cards came in. They're all going to be chipped. It's all right. I get what you're saying about forgetting your purse, but why is it easier to remember to take your phone than to take your purse or to take your license card? Why is it easier to remember to take your phone than to take your purse? I don't get where one's easier to remember than the other. Exactly, Catherine. If someone steals your wallet, they get your one license. If someone hacks into the records for the digital licenses, they have all of them and they could replicate. And it's going to be insecure. A government-run network is going to be a really attractive target, and it's going to be insecure. It's an appalling security risk. It is such a shit idea. Tendai, you're waiting for the bus. Had 2 12-hour shifts trying to recoup the energy. Oh my God, that sounds brutal. Okay, this is a weird thing. Like anyone who follows me on the social medias would have probably seen me making a reference, and I did mention it earlier in this stream, going to young Mr. Angry's school valedictory dinner, and it just dragged on and on. I didn't do it, and it just wasn't enjoyable. It just made me really tired. Having to be there while it dragged on with the various speeches and whatnot, and not really doing anything and just being there just really, really dragged. Yeah. And so it made me bizarrely tired. Like it ran past 11 p.m., which is like not late. And I wasn't drinking because I had to drive. So I didn't drink at all. So it was only like, I got home at 11:30 without drinking. And I was so tired, and waking up this morning so tired. It was weird. It was ridiculous. Rambling Johnny, yeah, forgetting your wallet. Look, I agree. Forgetting your wallet is a thing that happens occasionally. Hardly ever, but I do it. But I would forget my phone more than I forget my wallet. I always forget something. Whether it's my headphones because I want to listen to music, or the phone itself, or my keys, or my wallet. Because at one point, I think that most I forgot my wallet twice in about 6 months, and that was really frustrating, going to work and not having any money or any way of getting money. So I sort of left $20 secreted in my desk after that, just in case I forgot my wallet. And it happened again, and I was really grateful to the fact that I left this $20 in my desk. But yeah, it's just that I don't see how one thing that you can forget is easier or harder to forget than another. But no, I occasionally forget my wallet, occasionally forget my phone. The weirdest one is I have on occasion forgotten my glasses, and for the same reason, I always had a spare pair of glasses in my desk at work. And it's really weird. It's like, because I'm half fucking blind. I'm not, just stuff's blurry. Like I can actually still, because I mean the screen's only this far away, I can still read the text on the screen. Like credits saying you work in retail. Can't believe how many older folks don't have a wallet. The wallet's falling apart. Yeah. Older people do risky things. I know I have never used Apple Pay. Fuck that. Apple have enough of a stranglehold on me. I'm not doing transactions through Apple. I mean, saying that, I do. What do you call it? The thing that made Elon Musk rich, PayPal. Tara, that is an interesting point. That's something like as a single smart chip that you can have on a key ring that would access your bank and have ID details, etc. La-di-da. Except that would justifiably make a lot of people paranoid about the degree to which you're then being tracked and you're in the system. And also, again, it's going to be fucking insecure. Because not everyone, but a lot of people, like if you can do a touch and pay thing, a lot of people are going to opt for it. And so, yeah, little smart chips would be very tempting. Yes, Catherine, Elon Musk got rich from PayPal. I think he had one or two other things that got bought for a stupid amount of money. Let's do a Google search. How did Elon Musk make his money? So yeah, eBay bought PayPal for 1.5 billion. Let's see. Yeah, so that was how he got rich, with PayPal, and then he's continued to make some money with like Tesla and SpaceX and being a scam artist, honestly. So, but yes, his breakthrough was PayPal, and that's where he got his money. So, yeah, it's remarkable. Thought capitalism makes no sense. Capitalism is so far out there. People make hundreds of millions of dollars off a single idea, and often nothing comes up. Like Mark Cuban, if you've heard of him, sold his company broadcast.com for $1 billion, and that was never worth it. It's like his idea of TV on the internet. But that's where he got his money, from a single fucking deal, and it was a stupid deal. But you look at all the WhatsApp founders made a fortune when they were bought out, and Instagram made a fortune when they were paid out. It's basically there are a lot of cases of people with sort of one idea, and it's a good idea, but they make a fortune from it, and then people treat them like they're a genius because they had one idea, and I'm sorry, it doesn't. The two don't correspond directly. But yeah, you know, there will always be things, and I don't actually. I'll throw in. I don't begrudge those people who you know, made just a huge payday from a concept they came up with. Good luck to them. I'm just saying it's a bit weird, and it's not value in the true sense of the word. I mean, you know, someone like Elon Musk gets $1 billion payday. Did they really contribute, you know, 1,000 times more than someone just, you know, working hard in a day-to-day job? The sense of what value is in modern capitalism is really fucked up, basically. Belinda, has Musk invented a flying car yet? I don't think so, but somewhere in the Arab Emirates or something, that they actually are going ahead with this trial of a drone taxi. I think it's a single-seater flying taxi. It's basically, it's like a giant drone thing. And you're, Charlie, saying helicopters are flying cars. These drone taxis, they're like a giant version of for prop drone. I think you're right, Tendai, it's Dubai where they're trialing it. It might not. It might have gone further than Dubai. But yeah, this is weird. Yeah, that is such a weird thing. So, Emily, Johnny, you think printers getting beaten by all the Internet of Things here? I love. Someone's got a website about. If you've never heard the term the Internet of Things, it means web-enabled devices, appliances. Here, Emily, Johnny, you say light bulbs. There are light bulbs that you can control with an app on a smartphone. There are digital locks for front doors that you can control with your smartphone. Or there was a funny story with one of those smart front door locks. It had a camera with face recognition, and it's supposed to recognize the homeowner and automatically unlock. But he came up to his front door and he's wearing a Batman t-shirt and like Batman's face on it. And the facial recognition zeroed in on the Batman face and went, unknown, unknown, and locked the dude out of his house. So yes, I know that there's a website that collects all the ridiculous failures of these Internet of Things devices, and they just call it the Internet of Shit. It's ridiculous, like you're saying, with smartphone-controlled lights. I've heard more than one case of someone reporting they bought lights and an app from a small maker who then went out of business and stopped supporting their app, and it stopped working. So yeah, you're able to change the lights, you're able to dim them and even change the color of them. But when this the company that made it disappeared, this person was stuck. They couldn't change the settings on the lights anymore, so the lights were stuck on the last setting they had them on. There are basically 1,000 ways for internet connected devices to fuck up. It's such a bad idea. Tara, what do I think about the move from Internet Protocol 4 to Internet Protocol 6? I am not technical enough to know the significance of that change. Actually, I haven't read up on it. I know because the Internet Protocol has obviously changed multiple times over the years, because we're going up to IP6. Yeah, I have not read up on the latest changes, so I don't know exactly what the ramifications of it are. Oh yeah, Luke, the idea of sitting at home with a Google Home, I do have, yeah, I keep meaning to switch it off, but I do have the, hey Siri, are you spying on me?
No.
She said no. She said no. Hey Siri, was that a lie?
One option is sushi timing on West 95th Street in Oak Lawn.
Wow, thinks I want sushi. Okay, misheard me. Oh, Tendo, got an Alexa microwave. I feel like that would be a terrible idea. And that's the trouble with voice activated stuff. It picks up stuff. I mean, like there are the stories of people having like the Google Home Assistant or Alexa or whatever the fuck, and someone on a news station talks about it, and they say, "Oh, there's one where people have, you know, the Home Assistant has inadvertently heard, 'Hey Alexa, buy me some milk,' and so the person's Alexa, which is next to the TV, hears that and actually places an order." It's weird. What should I do, Belinda? Ask Siri what she's doing tonight. Hey Siri, what are you doing tonight?
I'm practicing being more helpful. I just like to help. Helping's my favorite.
Hey Siri, that sounds like you're sucking up. Oh, yes, you do. Yes. So, yes. I'm talking about stolen credit card info. Oh, that's an interesting one, credit. You're talking about carrying your credit cards in aphid sleeves, like mini Faraday cages, which a lot of people recommend. That was one of the interesting ones when they were talking about putting the radio frequency ID chips in passports, aphids in passports, and a few people were saying, "Oh, I'll come up with a list of why that's a bad fucking idea," because the cards are going to be so insecure and it can be read from a distance. One of the potential things is you have a reader. Hey, dipshit, if you're going to just say ridiculous shit about how much you hate Muslims, you're getting booted, okay? I have zero time for ignorant fucking bigots, okay? But anyway, going back to aphids in passports, someone said, for instance, it was America talking about doing it. And the security expert said, well, for instance, if I was a terrorist in another country who specifically wanted an American hostage, I could be walking around with a reader and which would give me an alert when I was within the proximity of someone holding an American passport and grab them. Or there could be a bomb sitting there with an aphid reader on it that was programmed to go off when it detected an American passport in the area. Like, it's such a bad idea. Oh my God, Rambling Johnny. That's an hilarious one. DEF CON, if you've never heard of it, is like a hacker convention where people talk about the technology and whatnot of hacking, and people go in with their phones and they're unsecured and they're sending passwords over free text. So I know one year at DEF CON, they had a display screen that, because they were just sniffing for details that were being sent in unencrypted transmissions, and they were just putting up on a big screen, such and such as password is this, such and such as password is this, and it's just like, wow, why would you go to a hacker convention with unsecured devices and send information over Wi-Fi? It's like, that is just not smart. Yeah, that's an interesting one, Tara. Some businesses have readers to track people's movements around. I think, yeah, credit. Definitely, you leave your devices at home, but that's even China's the one that's been singled out, but it's not the only place. It's now getting to the stage where taking your devices on international travel is a really fucking bad idea, uh, uh, because China's known to be aggressively hacking into people's devices. But even it's happened to people in Australia, UK, Europe, America. Border control takes your devices, demands the password, or they won't let you into the country, and then takes your device away, and you have no fucking idea what they're doing with it. So yeah, it is rapidly getting to the stage where traveling internationally with devices is a way bad idea. Brendan, what's with the government? Are we yet again going to have another bloody government? Well, apparently the results in the Wentworth by-election was so bad, like a record-setting swing against the government, 20% to an independent, that idiot. I'm sure they're a tiny number of the party, but idiots within the Liberal Party are already saying, "Oh, we made a mistake with Morrison. He's a fucking unit, isn't he? Oh, we should have someone else in there." It's like they are so fucking thick. They do not get what people think of what they're doing. It's absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, you're right, Megaleech. You leave your phone at home and buy a burner in country, or take a burner with you, but you have nothing on your phone. Like, you don't have Facebook or Twitter or YouTube or anything. When they grab your device and you go, "What is your social media?" You just go, "I don't have any." And then, you reinstall the apps when you're in another country if you want them. But yeah, it's now basically an increasing number of countries' border patrol is just saying, "Give me your devices and give me the passwords, or we're not letting you into the country, or we're going to arrest you." Yeah, Belinda, Shorten's been banking on the Steve Bradbury winning move for ages. I mean, he almost got there at the last election. He was thwarted by the Libs replacing Abbott with Turnbull, was their only saving grace. That's how they just barely squeaked in at the last federal election with a 1-seat majority. Because Abbott was such toxic electoral poison. If he had stayed Prime Minister, they would have gone down in flames at the last federal election. But then Turnbull proved to be mind-bogglingly incompetent and useless. And so they were obviously going to lose the next federal election. But the getting rid of Turnbull was fucking ridiculous, because that worked against them. Like, the electorate said, "Why the fuck did you do that when we made it clear we didn't want you to do that? What is wrong with you people?" The Libs are so far out of touch. It's absolutely bizarre. Like, they kept going for all the really extreme right-wing policies that 70% of the country rejects, and it was not getting through to them that lurching further to the right was going against them. It was really bizarre to see how incompetent they were. Yeah, I think we're all in favor of dumb politics. Sorry, I mixed up two things I was going to say. Rambling Johnny said one. Dumb phones are definitely going to make a comeback, I think, just from a security point of view. But yes, I think you're right, Rambling Johnny. Politics is the same everywhere, as in bad and shit. It is very, very bad. It's weird how much thing. I am, being the political tragic that I am very intrigued to see what happens with the midterm elections in the US, which are coming up. I know they're only about 3 weeks away, I think. And it could mean a seismic change in American politics. It could mean a small change. It could mean nothing at all. It could mean business as usual. I'm not going to rush to a conclusive prediction. I mean, on the surface, it looks like the Democrats are probably going to control the Congress and have a slim chance of controlling the Senate as well. If they do, then they've got Trump by the balls. They've got control over Trump at that point. But the Democrats are notoriously good at fucking up. So I'm certainly not going to predict any major victories for them because they're just so good at fucking up. Lojack, speaking of policy, have I looked at hashtag MMT? I don't know what that is. So clearly I haven't looked at it. CrossFitter. How soon will Labor do a no confidence motion on the Libs? I don't think they'll rush to it because they don't need to. But I think what could well happen if they have another really big fuck up of policy or behavior, that's when Labor will move a motion against them. I don't know how their minds work, so I don't know what they're really going to do. But yeah, you're asking me to guess. I reckon they won't just fly off and go, I vote no confidence in the government, because enough of the crossbenchers, the independents, have said they won't support a no confidence motion. There's not really any point. So I think, and my personal suggestion to Labor would be, wait till the Libs fuck up again. Wait till the government fucks up again and does something really stupid, tries really bad policy, and then have a vote against them then, which, again, you're probably not going to win, but you're destabilizing them and making them look bad. Shorten will go to the next election with the slogan of, I'm not that guy. That's all he's contributed for the last, 4 years, 6 years, however long he's been opposition leader. But it's bizarrely worked. It obviously worked really well against Abbott because Abbott was fucking terrible. I didn't think it would work as well against Turnbull, but then Turnbull turned into a complete failure. But now with Morrison, it's definitely a good slogan against Morrison. Morrison is such a fucking train wreck in such a short period of time. Just like, no, I'm not that guy. That will be Shorten's election campaign. I'm not that guy. And it will work, probably really conclusively. I expect the government to not just lose the election, but to get an absolute savaging, like fucking lose like 20 seats. I reckon they'll get such a caning, and they will lose a bunch of high profile people. A bunch of really well-known people in the government will get smashed in the next election. So we will possibly see more independents. Like, I think in some conservative seats, a conservative independent might unseat a party independent. Yeah, Catherine, we just want to keep PM for an entire term. I suspect, because you notice how even though a couple of times the media have tried to whip up some hysteria and going, oh, there's a move against Shorten in the Labour Party, there isn't. There absolutely is not and has not been. And they've tried to whip it up a couple times because they want drama, and it's been complete bullshit every time. I suspect in the back rooms, they're having some very stern and open and frank conversations. Go, we can't do that. We cannot do that. We cannot have destabilizing of leadership. The public has made it really clear what they think about that. We've got to fucking hold it together. You know, get in the back room and kick each other in the head, but no public sniping. We could hold government for a long time as long as we don't do that stupid bullshit. Catherine, good question. How long has Shorten been Labor leader? For as long as Labor's been in opposition, actually. Straight after the election that Rudd lost, after knocking off Gillard, when they went into opposition, he won the party room vote for the leadership. So Shorten has been opposition leader for as long as they've been in opposition. So so he's opposition to Abbott Prime Minister, opposition to Turnbull Prime Minister, and now Morrison Prime Minister. So he's been a leader as long as they've been in opposition. So how long has Bill Shorten been leader of the Labor Party? A quick look at that search. It auto-completed. Since October 2013. So 5 years. Happy 5-year anniversary, Bill Shorten. So yeah, Labor has worked hard on, we can't keep that shit going on. As an interesting one, CrossFitter, Dutton might get referred to the High Court with support of the independents. Oh, look, Dutton's seat is on such a razor-thin margin. He is losing. He's out of Parliament at the next election, no question at all. Which was another weird thing to me, that he was so convinced that he should be Prime Minister. These people are so delusional. Like, okay, you have to be a narcissist to go into politics, okay? Because by definition, you go, I am the right person to lead. I'm the right person to represent the stuff. So it doesn't have to be bad dictatorial narcissism, but you have to be narcissistic enough to believe, I should be a leader. I should be the person who represents this district, maybe the country. You know, that's, to think you're that much better than everyone is narcissism, pure and simple. But Dutton's narcissism is obviously so far out of control. For him to think he was the right person to be Prime Minister, when the public hate him, he's electoral poison. He's obviously going to lose his seat at the next election. You open gold stars for Tara Megalich. You know, you found a gold star of David. That's a good one. Oh yeah, Luke, Dutton's a fucking fascist. He's straight up evil. He's a soulless sociopath. Oh man, he's just fucked. And he couldn't have done much damage as Prime Minister. He could have really continued to poison public discourse as he has done consistently over the years, just poisoned public discourse with his sick, evil worldview. But in terms of actually policy or introducing legislation or enacting anything, there's very limited to almost nothing. What he could have done if he was Prime Minister was limited to very close to nothing. And now, with them being a minority government, you clearly they can't enact any policy at all without getting at least 2 independents to vote with them. And they have proven, since Abbott was Prime Minister, at being very, very, very bad at getting independents to vote with them, because they just act in such an autocratic manner. They act with this to the manner born bullshit, like we're in charge and we're better and do what we say. And then people who are in a position to say no to them say no to them because they're so fucking obnoxious. And they seem incapable of learning that lesson. I mean, they need a thorough fucking caning. They just need to be punished at the next election. I wonder if there's a good thing for likely results of next Australian election. Is there any good things? Next Australian federal election, Anthony Greens, yes. When will it be? How will, that sounds like a good heading, doesn't it? How will Labor win the next election? See what this tells us. Now I'll do a different search. Swing needed for Labor majority. Okay, so Labor only need a 4% swing at the next election to win. Oh no, that's in the UK. I'll put Australia in there because this is interesting. In 2019, because that's when the election will be. Okay, I'm just saying, the first thing I saw is a thing from the Australian, the Murdoch broadsheet thing about, oh geez, well that swing, it might not be enough for Labor. Have you seen how desperate the Conservatives, both the actual Conservative politicians and the Conservative media outlets, have been with saying like, oh, that 20% swing, that doesn't mean anything. It's like, it's hilarious watching them clutching at straws. Is astounding. They just go, oh no, you shouldn't read anything into that historic 20% swing against the government that made them lose a seat that they haven't lost since elections have been a thing in Australia. It's just like, oh my God. But yes, I think to be a majority, Labor have to pick up about 5 seats, something like that. Let me have a quick look. We'll do current Australian Parliament. Okay. So, wait, which is that? Parliament, maybe Wikipedia might be the best place to look. I'm trying to think of the actual numbers. This first thing with numbers that came up. Oh, wait, no, it's got 17 more rows. Okay. Composition of the 45th Parliament. Let's have a look. Okay, so Senate Party. Here we go. Okay, see, okay, just because Tony Abbott had a landslide win and then fuck the pooch. Like Tony Abbott's collapse from sweeping his government in to being ousted was astonishing, because when he went in, the coalition won 90 seats and Labor only won 55, right? Absolute trouncing. And then he got knocked off and Turnbull replaced him, and it dropped to, the coalition only won 76 seats, so they dropped 14 seats, and Labor went up to 69, so Labor picked up 13. So we just got quite a few independents, and we have 150 seats, so you need 76 to be a majority, and that's what the government had, 76. They had a majority of 1. So they only have to lose 1, which they've now lost. So they've only got 75. So they aren't a majority. So Labor would have to, assuming they take the seats from the government, which isn't necessarily going to be the case, they might take them from independents. But let's say they took the seats from the government, with Labor at 69 and the coalition at 75, Labor only need to win 3 seats to be ahead of the coalition. They need to win 7 to have an outright majority. Now, virtually every commentator who's not a fucking conservative apologist is saying that's a walk in the park. 7's a walk in the park. From the numbers I've seen, a conservative read of the next federal election, Labor is likely to pick up 20 seats, and that's a conservative view. And that's being super conservative, saying Labor will pick up 20 seats. The less conservative views, the more apocalyptic views I've seen, is that the government could easily lose 40 seats in the next election. And I mean, that's an extreme view. That's not one that I hold. But I reckon the government will lose at least 20 seats in the next election. And I mean 20 to Labor. They will probably lose some more to independents. I think the Parliament is likely to be a bit more unruly with a few more independents. There's quite a few independents in there now. I just think there'll be a few more. And who knows what will happen in the Senate. There may be even more independents in the Senate, which means whoever is in government has to really work on negotiating with the Senate to get any legislation through. So, Milkman, am I drinking already? Drinking? It's probably just lemonade. And, unless someone slips something in there, who knows? It's a mysterious world. But yes, as I've said many times, I am quite the political tragic. So I am looking forward to the next federal election here. Marky Mark, Labor hate the Greens because the Greens make inroads into Labor's electorates. Labor will want to be as far removed from the Greens as they possibly can, but that depends on how the vote. I don't think Labor will have any problems in the lower house. Senate is another story. Senate could be super volatile. Hello, Adele, and hey, Aussie Gun Bunny. Been good, buddy. How you been? Catherine, I would live stream the election, but Mrs. Angry also likes to watch the election broadcast and doesn't like it if I'm making noise. Maybe I could I could have like ABC iView live going. and do that. That could work, actually. Now I think about it, that absolutely could work. Oh yeah, Adele. Yes, the Catter and the Gunlaws. Yeah, it's interesting. Man, the ABC Four Corners is killing it with some of their stories recently. Like they're exposing the very big money gun lobby that's trying to wind back Australia's gun laws. They exposed the far right neo-Nazis infiltrating the National Party, the Young Nationals. They're killing it with the investigative reporting lately. Luke, when's my next video upload? Tomorrow, because I've been really slack. I kept wanting to hold on. I wanted to do a video that talked about the Wentworth by-election, and the result kept getting pushed back. And then I was out last night, so I didn't do it last night, but I will definitely do one tomorrow. Probably about what a pack of bastards. The Trump regime is a regime an individual, a singular, or a plural? A regime is terrible, or a regime is it's a regime. A regime is terrible. Aussie Gun Bunny, the Chook Raffle, the chocolate wheel. Does anyone else grow up with it being called the chocolate wheel? And it was never for chocolate. It was the big sort of spin the wheel. When I grew up, that was called a chocolate wheel. But the prize was never a chocolate. It was a Chook Raffle, or it was a meat tray. Like you're at the pub and it's a meat tray. But we call the big spinny thing, that was the chocolate wheel. Milkman, what's my favorite alcohol shot? I tend not to do shots. I tend to make cocktails. I like to make my girly drinks. But oh my God, I was out with some YouTubers once. Notably, I was with a guy, Chopper. He's got quite a popular channel, Cakes with Chopper, but I've known him for years. He's an old school YouTuber like me. And we were out, this was in Melbourne, we're in some karaoke bar. And we looked at, and look, their list of shots, there was one, I don't know, it's called like Zombie or Death or something. And I know it had an absinthe in it and some other stuff. And we went, oh, that sounds dangerous. Let's get one of them. And we both went bang with the shots. And it was seriously, it was like, oh man, it was like being hit in the head with a cricket bat. We were both like, oh my God, let's have another one. So, yeah, I as a rule don't do shots, but you know, shot of absinthe never goes astray. Get you going, that will. That Milkman used to have spin the wheel at Mustang Bar. Yeah, you know, all sorts of things like you know, some place have drinks promotions, spin the wheel. Like I said, having grown up in the country, particularly on a Friday or Saturday, it was traditional to have the meat tray. And yeah, that's a bit of a thing. The meat tray in the pub. So, what a sex on the beach. No, that isn't one of my favorite cocktails, but that is quite a traditional one. Sex on the beach cocktail recipe. And I think there are a few variations of that. Vodka and peach schnapps, orange juice and cranberry juice. There's cranberry, orange. Okay, that seems consistent. Cranberry juice, orange juice, vodka and peach schnapps. So yeah, no, that's not one of my, I could probably deal with it. Like I think I said on other live streams, my favorite cocktails are a whiskey sour or a sidecar. Whiskey sour is fairly simple. It's whatever whiskey you like, whether that's Scotch or bourbon or rye whiskey, lemon juice, hence the sour, usually sugar syrup, and usually egg white. Some variations don't have sugar syrup but have egg white, and some variations have sugar syrup but don't have egg white. But I like both. Yeah, I'm borderline obsessed with whiskey sours. But a sidecar is also a good one. That's a brandy or cognac with an orange liqueur, like Cointreau or triple sec or any variation like that, and lemon juice. So like brandy, Cointreau, and lemon juice. Marky Mark, what's my position on the Israeli occupation of Palestine? I'm glad we're not touching anything touching on anything volatile. No, I've made no secret that I think the state of Israel has and continues to do horrible, inexcusable things. It's not to say that one side is completely at fault and one side is completely without fault, but the state of Israel and the Israeli military are bigger sinners than they are sinned against in my book. And I know with some people that's a controversial thing to say, but that's what I think. Adele, you like a Manhattan? Manhattan's okay. I'm not hugely into it. Aussie Company, you like peated whiskey. I'm not big on just drinking whiskey. I don't mind. Like whiskey is such a strong, particularly if it's a Scotch whiskey, like you say, whether you're getting peaty one or an Islay malt or a blended one, it's such a strong taste. I don't mind, just being able to just do a little, just a sip occasionally. Like port, if I'm drinking port, I don't neck a thing of port. It's like you have little sips and you're getting that quite strong flavour. Oh yeah, Belinda, you like the Blue Lagoon. I know all these. Look at the Manhattan is a very simple one. I think in a lot of cases it's only like two. It's basically whiskey, and because it's an American drink, it'll be bourbon or rye whiskey, and vermouth, usually sweet vermouth, and dash of bitters of whatever type. So it's a pretty simple one. It's bourbon and vermouth, or rye whiskey and vermouth. And what's Blue Lagoon? There's probably some variations in Blue Lagoon. Cocktails. So what some of those ones that there's a general thing. How to make a Blue Lagoon. A website called Feed a Loon. How to feed a loon. That is a really interesting name for a website. Speaking of blue, I think I've shown this one. Yeah, I think I made something. Jesus Christ, this website is shit. Websites that fucking won't load and are all over the fucking shop with. Oh Jesus, that's just like pop up, do this, do this, do. So okay, here's one recipe for Blue Lagoon. Blue curacao. Now some people say curacao, and I tend to say curacao, and I don't know which is right, but it's blue curacao, vodka, and lemon juice. I've got a blue. This is my blue vodka. Oh, this is peppermint vodka. It's that peppermint rock candy dissolved in it, which makes for a tasty drink, quite honestly. Adele, you made Death in the Afternoon cocktail, absinthe and champagne. Oh, Frank, how's it going? Oh, I did see that on Facebook. Frank found some weird web page of someone obsessed over me. Wrote this riddle, like I didn't even read it. Like Frank gave me a link and I looked at it. I actually just scrolled through to see how long it was, and it was super long. Like this fucking weirdo spent a really long time obsessing over how much they didn't like me. And I spent about 5 seconds looking at what a dickhead they were, and that was it. Adele, you want Death in the Afternoon? This is the one you want. You want to always show my It's got the nice fairy motif. The Jacques Soreau absinthe. They color code their strengths. This one's 75% alcohol, which is only the second one. Their green one's 70%, red one's 75% alcohol, blue one is 80% alcohol, and their black absinthe is 85% alcohol. It's very nice. I like a little bit of absinthe. For those who don't know, it's got an aniseed base. So when you smell it, oh, it's a really nice, like licorice smell. And I like the bottles. I actually reuse the bottles sometimes because there's like a little cork. You get that satisfying pop when you pull it out. And oh my God. So Frankie's saying the first section of that guy's review was obsessing about my changed appearance. Namely that, yes, I've been on YouTube for like 13 years and I have put on weight. Yeah, Mark's personal trainers, Wormwood and Thujone. Are they? I always wonder, are they different things? Are they different names for the same thing? But it's basically it's a herb liqueur. There are lots of European herb liqueurs, and absinthe is the most famous. What is it? Wormwood and Thujone, same. Okay. Is Thujone a wormwood? Yes. Okay. So Thujone and wormwood, same thing. They're variants of the same herb. Okay. I thought they were, but I wasn't 100% sure because when you look at the ingredients on absinthe, sometimes it says wormwood and sometimes it says Thujone. It's the same thing. You would need to find a specialty shop to get this. This is not very common. Like I have one go-to place in the CBD in Melbourne that carries it. I know they always have it. They actually have about, oh God, they have about 10 different absinthes. I've tried a few different ones. What's another gun buddy? Your favorite curly drink? Frangelico, Bailey's, and a dash of milk. I like. See, this is one of the reasons I made this peppermint vodka. The peppermint flavor is nice because you get that desserty flavor happening. So that's that one I'm pointing at there. That's a white chocolate liqueur. So like the peppermint vodka with that white chocolate liqueur, and then that one there is creme de cacao. It's a white or clear creme de cacao, which is again has a chocolate flavor in it. So if I mix the peppermint vodka, the white chocolate liqueur, and the creme de cacao, that makes a very desserty sort of drink, which I quite like. Yes, Marky Mark. Absinthe didn't make Van Gogh cut off his ear. Clinical depression did, and other mental health issues he had. Brush my hair. That honestly, I can't argue with that advice, Mark. It is a bit all over the shop, isn't it? Oh my God, I have so many skull decanters. Probably can't see that one from there. It's a is that a skull? Oh no, that's something. But I mean, I bought some of that Crystal Head vodka just to get the bottle that it's like. They have a skull bottle that the Crystal Head vodka, and it's a really smooth vodka. Like there are not many vodkas that I'm keen on drinking straight because it's like I'll have it as a mixer, but Crystal Head is pretty smooth. So I got some tiny Crystal Head bottles that I got at duty free, and how many sizes? Because I realized the last live stream I had a lot of different skull bottles or decanters. So that little one is one I got from like a $2 shop that cost only $2 or $3. That's like yay big. And then there's this size one. Like I've got one that's about this. There's one that's about this big, one that's about this big, then this one, and then the Crystal Head vodka, which is 700 mils. Yes, Tendai, Dan Aykroyd promotes Crystal Head. Yes. And then I have an actual huge one. It came a set like a decanter, probably holds a litre, and it came with some Skull shot glasses as well. Luke, that was a Van de Graaff generator, I think. The balls with the electric thing you touch and your hair sticks up. Yeah, but this is just what my hair always looks like. This is how I prefer to do my hair. The mad scientist sort of sticking up. This is basically how I've done my hair for decades with minor variations. Dale, you found it online, the Jacques Sorrow. It is a good absinthe. There's the place I get it from in Melbourne is called the Wig Cellar. What was the other one? I think it was another French one. How good is their website? I'm trying to remember the brand of the other one. I think it's just called Parisienne. Black Zone, Mystique, Green Fairy. A lot of them go with the. Oh, they're saying this is Spanish. I thought this was French. Just that name, Jacques Sorrow, made me think it was French. Doesn't say it on the bottle. And I suppose that looks like Spanish there. There's nothing that says. Oh, there it is, España. That actually is from Spain. There you go. I thought it was French. It's a Spanish absinthe. The other one that I had, that might be Spanish too. It was another black one. It was like 85%. But I got this other brand they had one time because they didn't have the one I usually get. And it was actually probably a little bit smoother than the Jacques Sorrow. Aussie Con Bunny, what's my thought on the Better Help drama going on? Oh, that was, I read that and I'm going, what was that? I don't remember. That was, do you mean the drama with Philip DeFranco being tied up with them? Frank, say hello to your best friend and colleague, Sean, aka Ferret Face or Elbow Failure. Well, those are some fabulous names for your best friend, Frank. What did you think? This, the vodka this is made with is actually the Costco Kirkland signature vodka, but they're French. They have American vodka and French vodka, and the French vodka is a little bit more expensive. And I got the French one, and I found to my surprise, it's quite drinkable. But I haven't just tried to drink this. You know, yeah, even got the little bit. That's actually pretty good. Again, I'm not into like really necking vodka, but that's quite smooth. And I've got like a very, this is my mouth tastes like toothpaste now. It's very pepperminty, but it's a real sort of burn down there. Charlie, good question. Where's Mimsy? I don't know. She's off doing whatever she wants to do. She's a bit like that. Oh, is that what the problem is? That they have shitty counselors. They were employing people who could easily fake their documents. No, I didn't watch the latest Doctor Who episode. Not yet, so no one's allowed to talk to us. It's too soon for spoilers. Fat Round Dave called you a fucker the other day and sure laughed. What a crowd you have there, Frank. Ferret Face and Fat Round Dave and Frankie the fucker. Oh, that's quite a troupe you have there. I'm loving it. Yes, Adele, some Costco booze and Aldi wine. Sounds like a big thing. My God, Aldi have the occasion, like they have like a blended Scotch whiskey for $30. And apparently they've won some prizes with this super cheap whiskey they have. In blind taste tests, it does really well. Who knew? Megaleech, how's AIDSy? Good question. I will... why don't I text him, actually? Dennis the Menace is there too, Frank. Let's see. Where's AIDSy? I'll just text him with, how's things? I hope he's not asleep. Belinda, that trolley's back and that trolley's gone. He's a classic. Just one of these sad little boys who gets obsessed with me. And it's just like, my God, dude, just run off and get a life. It's like, ooh, you could really teach me a lesson by just going away. Oh, look, if you weren't paying attention, you might have missed them already. Okay, thanks for dropping by, Tendai. Catch you later. That's okay. I noticed you're having the conversation about being trans or having trans partners. I've now come to a realization I may have been misgendering a friend of mine. And so I'm going to have that conversation, which will be awkward for at least a minute, because I've known them for a couple of years and I knew them as female, but I suspect they're actually coming out as trans male, but they haven't said anything directly to me, but things I've just said, because I met them with a female name, and on social media they've started using a much more neutral name, and someone else who knows the same person was referring to them as him, and I was like, well, oh God, oh my God, have I been misgendering them? Shit, I'm gonna have to have that conversation. Gonna have to have that conversation with them, which is going to be awkward for at least a minute. Yes, I think you're right, Credit. They'll think, but it's the one thing, like, if I've misread the situation and I go, have I been misgendering you? And they go, no. Why did you think that? I go, oh, yeah. But if I have been, I want to know for sure, because I think on Facebook they're using he as well. So I need to just have that quick talk and say, hey, how's it going? Have I made a mistake there? And it's just like, okay, I don't want to make it about me, but it's like, well, I was introduced to you as female, but I completely understand that if you didn't want to make a huge thing about it, is essentially doing a soft launch about your gender. It's just like, it just dawned on me a little while ago. Oh my God, I think I've been misgendering them. I hate that. So I'm going to have the conversation. But I'm tough. I'll get through it. They're the ones who are dealing with much more than me. So as if saying, oh, I'm so hard done by that I don't know what gender I should be referring to them as. It's like, it's not about me. It's really not. I agree, Adele. Gender is hard. In fact, one of my internet friends who is trans, she has picked up quite a following on Twitter with some really good explainers about gender, and how the video I do tomorrow, I'm going to do a pre-recorded video tomorrow, and it will almost definitely be on the evil of the Trump regime and mainly the stuff they're doing, like there's the story going that the Trump regime is planning on changing legal definition of gender to basically erase transgender people, which is fucking evil. And it's also, it's the fact is it isn't simply evil and cruel, it's unscientific. For all the people who go, there's only two genders, go, dude, you don't know a goddamn thing about genetics and about gender and sex. You got as far as there are boys and girls, and your brain never developed past that voice. My friend on Twitter is Delaney King, which is at Delaney King Rocks, ROX. But she has posted a couple of good explainers about why people denying the existence of transgender people is not just sort of sick and evil. It's also factually wrong. It's unscientific. And they're very digestible. So I've said to her that would make a good video. And I've been talking about doing a video or a live stream with Delaney for ages. So she agrees that it would make a good video. And I said, well, I want to do it with you. Can we finally get together, make this video? I'd be happy to use your explanation as a script for a video, but I'd prefer to do it with you. So I'm going to try and get that happening because Delaney's super good at explaining it. Hey, Harb, how's it going? Yeah, she caught me live. Maybe change. Oh, you suffer. This is Trump saying he wants to withdraw from the Soviet nukes deal. I don't even know what that is, if that's real, because Trump just spouts shit, and about 75% of what he says never ends up meaning anything. And I don't even know what he means by that, if he means anything, if it's going to turn into anything. It's just, I'm thinking of what tying in, because speaking about weird shit with Trump, like, you notice that his mob denied that the Saudis had murdered that journalist Khashoggi, somebody who was an American resident. He's working for CNN or something. Wandered into the Saudi consulate in Turkey, where they murdered him and chopped him up with a bone saw. And the Saudis denied it for ages. And Trump was like, oh, yeah, no, it didn't happen. And it obviously did happen. And now the Saudis have fucking admitted that it happened. And it's like Trump siding with a murderous dictatorship, whether it's the Saudis or whether it's Putin or whatever. And he was cheering on a Republican politician who violently assaulted a journalist. And it's just like, all this shit Trump does, it's like, it's not even about ideology. It's about power. So like the whole thing about pushing like the Kavanaugh nomination for the Supreme Court through against all precedent, against all rules of decorum, against all facets of common decency. That was an exercise in power for its own sake. Backing the Saudis when they clearly murdered someone was, again, an exercise in pure power. Trump actively praising a Republican who violently assaulted a journalist is power, pure and simple. And the suggestion that they're going to legislate to say trans people don't exist is, again, that's just an exertion of power for its own sake. Frank, you got to pick up, mate. All right. Catch you again later, my friend. Enjoy the rest of your day at work. I think you credit saying a Democrat running in Florida called Trump weak in the. It's the thing. The Democrats come across as so wishy-washy. you just go hard because nothing counts. Like this is a Republican running for re-election who violently assaulted a journalist. It's not an allegation. It happened. He was convicted. His original sentence was actual jail time, but then they pulled some strings and he never served any jail time. You know, in any decent world, that would be all over. And it's not. And it's not only that the guy's still running for election. Trump's actively praising him for violently assaulting a journalist. Trump is getting people killed, quite honestly. Trump is inspiring people to violence, mayhem, and murder. He is directly inspiring right-wing extremists to murder. And it's like nothing counts. Nothing means anything. It's absolutely ridiculous. Ooh, I hadn't heard that, Belinda. You're saying China's finished building the world's longest sea bridge to Hong Kong. That is really interesting. I didn't even know that. Let me look that up. That's amazing. That's an amazing bit of engineering. Bridge to Hong Kong. Wow, connects Hong Kong, China, and Macau. That's wild. That is absolutely wild. And I honestly, that sort of stuff, whenever I see it, I can't help thinking, oh my God, that's a terrorist target, isn't it? Blow that bridge up. My wordy, wordy, wordy. That's wild. That is just a phenomenal bit of engineering. Man, China just does shit, don't they? China just decides they're doing shit and it happens. Wild. Oh yeah, Aussie Money, you know Delaney. Yeah. She is, yeah, she's pretty cool. Again, oh my God, I'm so in awe of Delaney. Besides really knowing this shit that we're talking about, Delaney's an artist and has done art for some major computer games as well. So she doesn't just, she like, you know, pen and ink and paint art. She loves painting miniatures as well, and has done like 3D rendered character design for some major video games. It's like so fucking talented. It's quite daunting, actually. So something like 6 or 7 of the world's longest bridges are in China. I guess so. I guess so, man. They just fucking do it. Is that, Adele, there's a suggestion of what, building a bridge between Kangaroo Island and the mainland. Yeah, ferries. I think what's funny is sometimes, yeah, as you're saying, sometimes people on islands don't want bridges. I know off Queensland, 2 of the most popular islands, like holiday places, one did actually get a bridge built to it. I think that was Bribie Island. Got a bridge built over to it. And another one that was really popular, it's called Stradbroke Island. And none of the residents of Stradbroke Island wanted a bridge built to the island because they got enough tourists as it was. But developers, property developers, tourism developers wanted a bridge because then there'd be many, 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 many more tourists. So Charlie, it is, Bribie does have the bridge. Yeah, Bribie Island has the bridge, and they wanted to build a bridge to Stradbroke Island as well, but the residents of Stradbroke were very opposed to it. Now, Charlie, I'm pretty sure Straddy doesn't have a bridge. I remember, like, it was proposed 20, 30 years ago, and the residents of Straddy totally rebelled against it, so it never happened. Oh, wow. Harv, you're saying that Hong Kong bridge cost 20 billion and the mainland forced Hong Kong to pay 9 billion. Not happy. But this is the thing, man, the Chinese Central Party, if they fucking want something, so like if people go, is China a threat? And I go, well, if they want to be, there are. That'd be as big a threat as they want to be. I think the rest of the world is lucky that China is largely inwardly focused. They are, because a population their size and a military their size, if they were expansionist like the US is, that'd be fucking mayhem. That would be so bad. And this is one of the million or so things that are bad about climate change. When the severe aspects of climate change start to hit and large sections of the world have no food or water and deserts expand, and people who don't know geography might not realize large sections of China are desert, and those deserts expand, and the billion population of China runs out of food and water. They're suddenly going to start expanding their territories. They're going to take it from the neighboring countries. Climate change is going to cause millions of deaths at a minimum in poor countries that can't afford to do anything about it. But then there will be millions upon millions of refugees, food and water refugees, and it's going to turn into huge fucking wars. Daria, yes, you're right. There's water territory disputes. And of course, Russia and China have a land border, but what China is doing with sea lanes, they're getting very territorial. They've got a lot of disputes with Russia, you're right. And in the South Pacific, they have disputes with Japan, Korea, and well, basically everyone in the South Pacific, including Australia. And because the US likes to think they have rights of sea travel, the US is pissed off. Yep, Tenguin, Philippines, Vietnam, basically everyone in the South Pacific. Yes, Dara, you're right. Oh God, you're from that area. God, that must be volatile. That border area with China and Russia has got to be volatile. Because you obviously get a lot of race mixing, and throughout history, of course, various people had very different ideas of where the border of Russia and China was. And yeah, you get China saying things like, well, look, check out this whole area here. Look at the people who live there. They're all obviously ethnic Chinese. They have a much closer cultural connection with China than they do with Russia. So we should just move the border. Yeah, no, that shit's got to be volatile. I mean, what steals all the headlines in the West? The volatility of Russia's border with Crimea and that part of the world. And people are very Europe-centric. They look at where Russia butts onto Eastern Europe. But yeah, you don't get as much headlines with Russia and China. Russia and Japan, as you said, Safa, Japan and China, Korea and China, and everyone in the South Pacific in China. Yeah. Oh, you're saying, Daria, you're saying Putin's actually selling land and saying, okay, for X amount, we'll say you do actually own that. Oh man, that's shifty right there. I think I'll bother mixing those drinks. You know what happened to? Well, look, I've only got a little bit of my absinthe left. Neck this a little bit. Well, you feel that going down, I'll tell you that much for free. Woo. Ooh. Oh yeah, that mega jackpot lottery in the US, just to completely change the topic. Yeah, there's that jackpot that's like over $1 billion or whatever. don't know what that's going to end up being by the time it actually goes off, because it's one of the ones where the odds against winning are phenomenal. Like I heard someone say your chances of winning this is, say, they're going to randomly pick one person out of the entire world's population, and then they give that person a 6-sided dice, and you have to roll a 1 to win. And that's basically the odds against you winning this particular lottery. So, credit, your business sells those lottery tickets, doesn't it? That's the other wild thing. Just from the outside, when you see these occasional huge jackpots in the US that run into the hundreds of millions of dollars, because the way they're sold, they're only sold in certain states. So you get people traveling multiple states to get to one of the vendors that's selling these lotteries, because it's not a national lottery, it's state-based lotteries, so they're only sold in particular areas. And yeah, looking in from the outside, that seems super weird. We're going to share with you. They're just behind me, thing here. I've made a whole bunch of drinks, and I've been mixing them, but I haven't tried them straight. So this is raspberry vodka. It's just vaguely pink. It has raspberry food flavoring in it. Smells very raspberry, actually. That's not as actually. That's been okay in mixes. I'm not a fan of it straight, actually. The peppermint is better straight. I should have some water to cleanse my palate. Failing that, some lemonade. Tanguin, I subtweeted about identity politics. Man, I mouth off and subtweet so much. I'm not sure which one you're referring to. I just go around trying to cause trouble. So when someone says, "Hey, what about that thing where you tried to cause trouble?" I'm going, "Oh, which one?" I'm thinking. So okay, I'm not a fan of that recipe. This is bourbon. Like I'm saying, I'm totally sold on my whiskey sours. This is cinnamon bourbon. It smells very cinnamony, and I have made whiskey sours with this. And it makes a good whiskey sour. So, but I haven't had it straight. So, ooh, that's pretty good. That's very, very cinnamony in the mouth, and then you get the bourbon rolling down your throat. But that's about. I think most people are used to me just causing trouble. But oh, Biori, it's your mum's birthday. Happy birthday, Biori's mum. Tenguin, I know who you're talking about. When I subtweeted it and said, I know which supposedly progressive YouTuber is going to be the next one to go full on alt-right, say they've been red-pilled and just go full anti-feminist, anti-identity politics, and just turn into a fucking right-wing shitbag and probably start referring to themselves as a classical liberal. Yeah, see, I worked out eventually what you were talking about. Yes. No, but yeah, I've had his little fanboys harassing me in the past. So that's why I was subtweeting and not making a huge, but everyone knew who I was doing, because everyone went, oh no, I saw that video too. Yep. And he just went randomly on these anti-feminists and anti-race activist stuff, and it was just fucked. Okay, now this is caramel bourbon. I melted some caramel rock candy, salted caramel. Interesting, there's the same bourbon, but the cinnamon flavor was a food flavoring, which was a paste, and it's very grainy. I had to filter it, but you see that's really opaque, like you can't see anything through it. But if you look through this, it's quite translucent. You can like see my thumb on the other side. You don't see my thumb on there. This is really opaque, and this is really translucent. Just saying. Credit. No, I'm not talking about Shane Dawson. Ah, this smells so good. Ooh, that's pretty good. Oh man, I might have some of that just on the rocks later. Oh, that's really good. It made a good whiskey sour, but I might have some of that just on the rocks later. Not tonight, another day. Credit, not Shane Dawson. I wasn't aware Shane Dawson was particularly progressive or political, even for that matter. Oh, yeah. This is, who was harassing me who went to jail? The poor and unfortunate lad. Oh dear. That was Toby and Celtic Kings, mate. Oh God, my brain's blanked out at the moment. But yeah, he had a go at me and I blocked him. And yeah, that's it, VD. Thanks, Megalitro. I knew we had a nickname for him. Video Dude. Yeah, he had both a substance abuse problem and a temper problem, which led him to getting frisked by the cops, and they found the marijuana on him. And apparently his response to that cops frisking him and getting his gear was to punch the cop. Yeah. So he's in jail. Yeah. Safa, am I going to be sober tomorrow? That's my plan. I'm planning to be there. Well, Tegman, I can neither confirm nor deny that without causing trouble. Obviously, I could deny it and have no trouble, but then I'd be lying. Oh, credit. I was watching Shane Dawson's recent videos on Jake Paul because I was kind of intrigued because I never watch any of those things. I'm never involved. I thought, oh, he's going to dissect, and he did give heaps of backstory on why everyone was pissed off and who the players were. And so I found it vaguely interesting. Shane Dawson, and I kind of like Shane Dawson because he's been around on YouTube for so long, and I have actually interacted with him a little bit, but not for a while. But he did do a really shitty thing on Twitter where someone said, like, yeah, someone did object to what he did, and he did an reply to them, basically saying, oh, well, I'll never do anything ever again. Then, and that was really shitty because that got this person like thousands of hate messages, and that was it was either stupid and ignorant or deliberately cruel and nasty of Shane Dawson. I think it was thoughtless. I don't think he was being I don't think he was being cruel and vindictive. I think he was being thoughtless, but his position meant that girl got fucked over really badly, and it was a really bad thing for him to do. Lemonheads, Team what? It's driving me crazy. Team 10. Yeah. See, I didn't know any of that shit that he was talking about with Jake Paul, so I learned some stuff, which was interesting. Tyrannical. What do I think about the TPP trade agreement? Man, I've got videos going back 5 and 6 years saying what a pile of shit the Trans-Pacific Partnership is. It's terrible. Yeah, and neither Labor nor the Liberals can hold their goddamn heads out because they've both sold us down the river to corporate interests. And it's bullshit. This is one of those things where Trump's accidentally correct. Like when Trump said the TPP looks like shit, you go, it is, but not for the reasons you're spouting. So you're kind of you're right for the wrong reasons because it's a partnership that insanely unfairly benefited big corporations, notably American corporations. That's Trump being a populist one. So he was kind of accidentally correct, which was really interesting. You're off to bed, Adele. I will be, probably around for 10 more minutes. Belinda, that's a nice complete. Oh, sorry, Lemonheads. It's Team Rogers. It's Captain America: Civil War. Team Rogers. Sorry, dude. I understand your frustration. It's Team Rogers. Yeah, Belinda. So going on about Poppy. Yes, if you've never watched it, oh my God, it's great because it's just so weird, so surreal. That Poppy on YouTube is so, and they've kept this Poppy thing going for years now, and it's just super strange. And I love Strange. Strange is great. Safa, the union marches were great. I am so pro-union. In fact, I'm slightly regretting I didn't go into the city today. To get right in amongst the big union rally. It's great. I'm big into. Okay, this is my last of my concoctions that I haven't tried straight. I'm just going to have a sip of this. See that nice yellowy orange color? This is mandarin vodka. I dissolved some mandarin rock candy in here. Well, that's okay. Whoa. It goes down quite smooth and then has that burn. Oh man, this is the winner, I reckon. Out of all of these, I think I'm going to try this one. This is the salted caramel bourbon. A little scalding. I'm going to try that on the rocks another time. That's really good. Tangwin, that's an interesting question. Creative question. Being better at stand-up. You're right. It's one thing to be funny with your mates, but it's different to do it in audience. Look, a big thing is just if you're in an area where they have open mic nights, just try it. Or look at what works with an audience. Yeah, it's, oh man, stand-up comedy is brutal as fuck. I mean, I did some open mic stuff a couple of years ago, then stopped. But yeah, my advice would be just try. A lot of what works with stand-up is your timing and your rhythm. And look, if you have Netflix, there's Christ knows how many hours, probably hundreds of hours of stand-up on Netflix, both like 1 hour specials, and they've got a whole bunch that are shorter ones, which are like showcase ones of different up and coming comedians doing 15-minute spots. Watch them. My advice to how to get better is first, just do it. Do it yourself. Do it as much as possible. But second, watch stand up. See what works and try and deconstruct what worked about that. And it's personal taste, because you'll soon realize if you look at a lot of stand-up comedy, there's an incredibly diverse range of material. And there's stuff that's super popular that I don't like at all. There's stuff that's super popular that I don't like much. There's stuff that's super popular that I do like. And there's some underground stuff I like and some underground stuff that I don't like. Okay, I'm going to throw out a couple of recommendations. And again, I am thinking Netflix, but you can probably find this stuff on YouTube, at least clips of it. Okay, like one, probably the highest, not probably, I'm sure he is, the highest paid comedian in the world today is Ricky Gervais. And even if you don't like him, even if you don't think he's funny, there is value in watching his stand-up specials and seeing, okay, what's working for an audience there and why. And with him, it's very much his rhythm. Like, he makes an audience laugh in anticipation. He makes them laugh when he's not telling a joke because he's setting up anticipation. Like, I saw his most recent one on Netflix, which apparently made fuck knows how many $1 million. I didn't get a lot of laughs out of it, but there's stuff that was very clever. Like, again, with his structure and pacing, he did this. There's a recurring thing he does where he sets something up and he's basically saying, here's a person that I think is stupid and did a stupid thing. Here's someone that I interacted with and I think they're stupid. And he goes, da-da-da, and they did this, and he'll pause and then go, should have let it go. And the audience is in hysterics because he's not telling a joke, right? But he's got them. He's done a setup like, I'm really going to have a go at this person because they said, I'm making it clear that I think this person's position or what this person said is stupid, making it very clear I think they're stupid. And then there's the pause and there's this, should have let it go. And so you know he didn't. So you know he's going to say something really cruel, basically. He makes the audience anticipate. They laugh because they're anticipating something funny. So he's worth watching. Hub, you're right. Jimmy Carr loves to test it. He's got a recent one on Netflix, which again, I didn't laugh at hilariously, but it was interesting to watch. The recent Dave Chappelle stuff is very interesting just to say, just to see how he does the jokes. Stuff I'd wholeheartedly recommend that watch John Mulaney's specials on Netflix. I really love guy who actually rose to fame on YouTube, Bo Burnham. His most recent Netflix one, Make Happy, is a piece of fucking genius as far as I'm concerned. It's very funny and technically very good show. And just as someone who likes comedy and likes to deconstruct comedy, that what he did in that show was amazing. Tenguin, you make a good point that if you're brand new, people don't know your personality, so you can't rely on it. But you need to find your own thing, what works for you. And you're right in that Ricky Gervais is borrowing off his own personality. People have an expectation of Ricky Gervais. When you're an up-and-comer, no one has an expectation, but you can lead them in a certain way. I mean, you look at, there are certain comedians who just do one-liners. That's not my thing, but some comedians have a very good career and their entire performance is just a series of unrelated one-liners. Why I love Bo Burnham's show, Make Happy, is because it's a whole thing. And his jokes are about making jokes. His performance is about being a performer. It's just really worth watching. I agree with you, Hub. George Carlin was very good. George Carlin was very good. I'm not 100% on board with all of George Carlin's material, but I'm way on board with a lot of his material, honestly. Even like, and the one that got talked up a lot recently, Australian comedian Hannah Gadsby's Nanette. It's a very good show. And you get into all these weird arguments about post-comedy. It's not funny. There are jokes in the show, and some of them are very funny. But to me, Nanette is more theatre than comedy. It's a theatre performance with some jokes in it, as opposed to a comedy show. Whereas, yeah, like Bo Burnham's Make Happy is a comedy show. It's really funny, but actually, to my mind, covers a lot of similar ground. It's self-referential. Like Bo Burnham, he's had a thing for a few years where he deliberately draws your attention to the fact his performance is artificial. A lot of comedy relies on the thing, the comedian saying, oh, I was shopping the other day, or I went to the doctor's the other day, and he will start a thing like that and go, no, I didn't. I just made that up for the sake of a joke. I'm lying to you. And it's like Hannah Gadsby has this thing where she says she can't do stand-up anymore because she was making jokes at her own expense, and it was hurting her, and her relationship with the audience was an abusive relationship. And Bo Burnham covers that a little bit as well, as, you know, I'm lying to you. Comedians lie to you. It's not healthy. Lemonhead, do you like Mitch Hedberg? Mitch Hedberg was very fun. Mitch Hedberg was a one-liner guy, and he was very good at it. Obviously, you know, the guy talked to a monotone, Stephen, what's his name? He was big in the 90s. Talks in a monotone like this. Oh, why's my brain gone blank? Stephen something. I saw him live once, and he was very good. It was very funny because he does this thing where he talks in an expressionless monotone. But when he saw him live, you could see occasionally the laughter from the audience would get him, and it would be infectious. But he didn't want to think, so he would look away when he started to smile, when he started to get the giggles. And he had this shtick that he did in the show that was very funny, as if he was writing notes. It's how he would turn away from the audience. He was pretending to write notes about the show. Stephen Wright, thank you, Harb. But I got front row seats to his show. So I saw him, I could see he was smiling and he was trying to hide it from the audience. And he would turn away and he'd pretend to write notes. It's because when he got a big laugh from the audience with a really sick line, and because Stephen Wright had some very sick lines, they were very funny. And sometimes, like when he got a big laugh with a really sick line, you could tell he thought, oh my God, this is just too much. And he'd turn around and he'd say things like, he's pretending to write notes, I think I've worked out the level of this audience. Next, I'm going to tell them a joke about kicking a baby, you know. And it's just like, it was a good thing he did. He'd worked out a way to hide from the audience when he's, because, you know, like most comedians, like if they really get into it and if they're feeding off the laughter from the audience, most comedians aren't shy about smiling and laughing along with the audience. But Stephen Wright's whole thing was to be this expressionless monotone. So when he started to get the giggles, he'd try and hide it. So that was him. He once said, don't know if being born by cesarean section affected me much, but the other day I left home by climbing through the window. Yep. Again, like I said, one-liners are not really my thing, but some comedians are very good at it, and some that I don't find funny at all make a good living off it. But yeah, that would be a big recommendation from me if you were wanting to get into stand-up and be better. The two things are do it as much as possible. Go to all the open mic nights. Just do it, because the more you do it, the better you're going to get. But also, you've got this treasure trove. There's stuff on YouTube. There's all the classics. Mitch Hedberg and George Carlin, all the classics are on there. And don't overlook stuff that you think is really cheesy, like stuff from the 50s, 60s, and 70s. You can learn from that shit. Like, what did they do that worked for an audience? Because when you're a comedian, you've got to get the audience in. So you work out, how did that performer get the audience in? And you can really learn. And yeah, if you have Netflix, there's fuck knows how many hours of stand-up comedy on Netflix. And it's worth watching it. So yeah, my two big tips are do it, and like write it. Like, go on Twitter, write one-liners on Twitter, have a blog, write funny stuff on a blog, do stuff on YouTube, go to open mic stuff, but also watch other comedians. Even if you don't like them, work out, well, this person is successful, they got their own special on TV, what did they do that connects with an audience? Tenguin, that's a good one. And I'll close with this because I'm going to go to bed. Because yeah, I did help with AIDS's show. How do we start? How do you redraft? don't be shy with your first draft. When you're doing it, and this counts for more than comedy, but if you're developing stand-up stuff or a show with comedy, get it out there. Go, what am I doing? I want to do this. I want to do. I want to say this. 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 And get it out. Write it down. Record it. If writing is too slow, record it. If you don't have it, use your phone. Just record it and say, and then editing is the thing. Going back, and you need, and this will change over time, but you work out what works for you. Do one-liners work for you? Do long setups work for you? But whichever it is, whether it's long setups, whether it's the story type humor, or whether it's sharp, snappy one-liners, your rhythm is what's going to sell it. It's a different rhythm for one-liners than with long story stuff. Like we're saying, Jimmy Carr is a one-liner guy. Dave Chappelle is a story guy. Ricky Gervais is kind of a mix. He does some stories, some one-liners. Look, again, I can't recommend Bo Burnham's Make Happy enough. I've watched that 3-4 times at least, and it still blows me away. Also, because he's musical as well, he's disgustingly talented, which is fucking really offensive that someone in their mid-20s is so fucking talented. But don't let that put you off. Also, don't go, oh, he's more talented than me. I can't possibly do it. Learn from it. Take something from it and learn from it. And yes, all goes off saying, I agree with you, Biori. Older comedians go, people can't do jokes anymore. Yeah, you're right. They need to adapt or die. If stuff that used to be acceptable is just lazy and pathetic and picking on minorities, it's just, well, you know, fuck you. If you can't adapt and be funny, and don't say, oh, you couldn't do that today, because lots of comedians really push the envelope and are really edgy without being garbage people. It's a sign of weakness to say, oh, you can't make jokes anymore. It just means you're weak, basically. Anywho, you fabulous people. Wow, this has been fun tonight. I probably could keep going for another hour or two, but I shouldn't, because I was really tired today last night. So I should go to bed. I should go to bed. Yes. Oh, yes. Nice last second recommendation from Charlie. Bill Bailey, who's also musically talented as well as being funny. Definitely. So look after yourselves, you fabulous, fine people. Thank you very much for your company tonight. Have, as always, had a really good time. I'm going to make a video tomorrow. I'll probably do another live stream on Thursday. And, you know, like I said, might have some guests. Might try and get AZ over. Might try and get Delaney over, either for a live stream or to make a pre-recorded video. But you all look after yourselves. Looking forward to seeing you again another time soonish. Yes, stay safe, everyone. Look after yourselves. Have fun. I'll see you later. Bye for now. And I click stop, and I'm honest.